Take a look at this. This is an issue from Apple's own support center, where people using AirDrop cannot find their friend's device when they're trying to send something. And it has 4,080 people reporting this. Now, if they wanted to, they could fix this in a matter of weeks. This is the most valuable company in the world. It's an issue that millions of people experience every single day on the most successful product in human history, the iPhone. And so let me ask you this. Why do you think we have AI that generates movies, but trying to print a document still feels like a nightmare? Why, when we have sleek chats and even 3D video calls, most communication still happens in email threads that look like this? Why does it seem like one side of our tech is progressing like crazy, and then there's a piece of it that seems stuck in the past? Well, there's a very specific reason why, and it's one of the most interesting and weird aspects of how tech products actually get built. It's actually 4 reasons, and once you understand them, you'll understand why having your tech suck, it's actually a good thing. I'm Enrico, and I build tech products for a living. And on this channel, we go behind the scenes of the design, engineering, and psychology of the tech you use every day. But to understand this, let's start from something you're very familiar with. If you go to Gmail, you'll see under every email these 3 dots. And there you'll see every message of the conversation, the entire email chain so far nested down so much that it becomes unreadable. This is as if anytime you send a message on WhatsApp or iMessage, that message you send along has an entire copy of the entire history of the chat inside it. And if you try to make any change to the history, everything breaks. Gmail and all the other email clients out there are simply taking this mess, trying to hide it and organize it into more readable threads. But at the core, this is how email actually works. And that's kind of dumb, right? Why would anyone design a system like this? Well, it's because of this. In 1992, a guy named John Postel designed SMTP, the standard behind email, and it was built for university researchers to send plain text notes. There was no conversation view, no threading. If you wanted context, you just quoted the previous message. So email threads are basically just a workaround. And 40 years later, that workaround became the most universal communication method on Earth. Why? Because your Gmail can talk to your Outlook. Outlook can talk to Apple Mail. Apple Mail can talk to that ancient government server running Windows 2003. They all speak the same language, even if that language is incredibly inefficient and frustrating. And that's the first counterintuitive reason why so much of your tech feels so annoying. Being standardized always beats being cutting edge. And that sounds wrong. Surely better technology should win. But it doesn't, and it never has. In 1975, Sony released the Betamax. Better picture quality, better sound, smaller tapes, but a year later, JVC released VHS. Worse quality, but it could record for 2 hours instead of 1, and most importantly, they made it an open standard, so that anyone could manufacture VHS without paying anyone. By 1987, VHS had 90% of the market. The better technology lost because the more adopted technology won. And the perfect example of this is something you actually use every single day. Look at these 2 cables. They're both USB-C, they both look identical, but one transfers data 40 times faster than the other. One can run a 4K monitor, the other one is basically just for charging. And good luck figuring out which is which. See, USB-C is an amazing standard that's got the connector right. One shape plugs in either way, fits everything, that's the standardized part, and that's why it's got everywhere. But then they tried to improve it. So first there was USB 3.0, then they named it to USB 3.1 Gen 1, then USB 3.2 Gen 1, then USB 3.1 Gen 2, which became USB 3.2 Gen 2, then USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2, then USB 4, then USB 4 Gen 2 by 2, then USB 4 version 2.0, then there's Thunderbolt, which uses the same USB-C connector but in a completely different protocol made by Intel. Thunderbolt 3 and USB 4 are compatible, except when they're not. Some USB-C ports support Thunderbolt, some don't, and this is exactly the point. Email froze in 1982, and it works everywhere. VHS froze at worse quality and won. USB-C is a confusing hot mess of standards and names and speeds, but it made us all get one connector. Because being standardized is always better than being cutting edge. Let's go back to our original example of the AirDrop ticket and why Apple doesn't fix it, even though it would be really easy for them. Well, that's how we get to reason number 2 and where things start to get interesting. This is the Apple Vision Pro. Apple spent an estimated $20 billion developing it. 5,000 patents, custom chips, 14 cameras, new manufacturing processes, all for a headset that less than 500,000 people bought. And that for most of them had just become home decor sitting on a shelf. Meanwhile, Siri is looking like this.
Siri is bad. I would ask it things and it'd go, let me check that for you, or here's what I found, and it would like pull up a wiki article or like it would Google something and it would be terrible. But obviously the second you ask it to do anything that's a little bit more advanced, anything that involves any type of reasoning or more than one step, that's when it instantly tries to kick it out to ChatGPT. So if I ask it to draft a quick email to my colleagues to say thanks for a great day,
I'll need to use ChatGPT to write that. Should I go ahead?
and then it tries to kick it out. No, so don't. Just don't.
And if you ask any iPhone user, they will tell you so many of the problems they face every day, including our famous AirDrop example. Google right now is launching image editing tools, an AI that generates playable video games in real time. Meanwhile, my Google Home that I had for years, when I ask it to turn on the lights in the living room, it always turns them on in the bedroom and is so annoying. Hey Google, lights off.
Bedroom off.
No! Why? And most people would say, well, let's kill all the useless projects like the Vision Pros or this AI everywhere. Let's just take the list of the things that people actually want us to fix and get to work. And that's why most people aren't the chief product officer, Apple or Google or any other tech company. Because they are missing the second reason why your tech sucks and why it's actually a good thing. See, focusing on the next big thing and kind of forgetting the current one is not just FOMO. It's what makes a tech company and what brought us the products that we use every day. Imagine you're Google in 2004. You're a search company. You're drowning in requests and bugs. You're trying to grow at a massive scale. You have bugs everywhere. Competitors are popping up. Your engineers are already stretched thin, just keeping search working. So what do? Well, of course, you take your most precious resource, your engineers, and you buy two random startups. One makes digital maps, one makes satellite imagery. Maps? For search engine? Makes zero sense. It's wasting money. Your board thinks you lost your mind, your competitors think you're distracted, but without that decision, you wouldn't have Google Maps. Discord, they started as a failed video game. The chat feature was so just that players could talk to each other. The game died, but the chat is now one of the biggest platforms on the internet. The products you see every day almost never make sense when they started. They look like distraction, just like the Vision Pro. This is killed by Google.com. It's a graveyard of all the products that Google has killed over the years. Google Reader, Google Plus, Stadia, Inbox, Wave, hundreds of products launched and then killed. What a huge waste of time and effort. Why don't they just fix my damn Google Home? Well, it's because somewhere in that graveyard, they thought might be the next Gmail or the next YouTube, the next products that will define the next decade. They just don't know which one is yet. And the companies that stop trying and that actually focus on all the issues of the present, well, look what happened to BlackBerry. They had the best phones, the best keyboards, and when the iPhone came out, they could have chased the shiny new thing, and instead they keep perfecting what they had. And today, they don't make phones anymore. And Apple pouring $20 billion into the Vision Pro while Siri cannot set a timer, that's not incompetence. That's the cost of being a tech company. Google launching AI experiments while your lights turn on in the wrong room, that's the price of the next products you'll use every single day. And that brings us back to our AirDrop ticket. Apple could fix it. They have the engineers, they have the money, but they're not going to because they are not choosing to. But what about when your broken tech literally can't be fixed, even if you wanted to? But before we get to that, let me show you what you can do with the sponsor in this video, GenSpark. Take a look at this. In the old world, I would have spent so much time just typing out this email, getting all the formatting right. But now, hey Evelyn, thank you so much for reaching out about your comments to Flask. And voila! Out comes a perfectly formatted email, clean paragraphs, no filler, and ready to use. And you can do all sorts of things, like translating it into other languages. Take a look, for example. Translate this to Italian. And it's not just transcriptions, it's actually editing as you speak. This is Speakly, and it's the latest addition to GenSpark's all-in-one AI workspace. They went from $0 to $155 million in annual run rate in just 10 months. And you might have seen their ad as well in the last Super Bowl. And that's because it's not just a chatbot, but a full-on AI workspace that can deliver actually finished work. Slides, websites, data analysis, brand assets, and even phone calls. For example, many people now work on presentations, and they might use some AI chatbots to help plan the presentation or write some text, but GenSpark lets you fix up your data in their AI sheets, then create an outline automatically, and then actually create the presentation to showcase the data in AI slides. Or take a look at this. I just uploaded the logo of my company Flask, and I'm gonna ask GenSpark to create mockups of some merch for my company. There we go. We have a t-shirt and we have the cap as well. And it identified it to have just the logo, and look at that, even the stitching is realistic. And right now, GenSpark is offering unlimited access to the AI chat and AI image for all of 2026. That's GPT, Claude Opus, Gemini, Nano Banana Pro, and all the other top models with no cap. You can try GenSpark today with a link in the description. But now, back to the video. So you want to change a setting on Windows. Well, Settings. Makes sense. Clean, modern interface. But the setting you need is not there. Now it's in this control panel, a much more complicated version of the same thing. Control panel should have died a decade ago. Microsoft knows this. They've been trying to kill it, but they can't. Billions of scripts, enterprise workflows, and IT departments depend on specific control panel features. So now you have two interfaces doing the same thing forever. And that's the third reason why your tech sucks. Backwards compatibility. Take Microsoft Word. We all hate how complicated and clunky Word looks. So how hard can it be to build a sleeker, better version of it? Well, let's try. We'll use some set sizes for big titles and small titles and text called Markdown. Simple, clean, readable, similar to Notion or Obsidian. But now the people that work in a federal court are calling you. They require 14-point proportional typeface. Your solution cannot do that. So okay, we'll add font support. And then they call again. They also require double spacing, minimum 1-inch margin, 8.5 by 11 page size. Okay, we'll add that as well. Now law firms are calling you. They require multi-level decimal clause numbering, tables with variable column widths, split cells with different row counts, footnotes that flow correctly, cut page breaks, and before you know it, you recreated the same bloated mess all over again. Every edge case that Word added over the past 40 years, someone needed it. Somewhere, a lawyer required that specific footnote behavior. Somewhere, an accountant's spreadsheet depends on that exact formula. Feature by feature, edge case by edge case, the product grows until it becomes impossible to improve, because improving it would mean breaking someone's workflow. The bigger something gets, the more dangerous it is to touch. But here's the counterintuitive thing. That's actually how it should work. Control panel still lets you do that one specific thing. Word still lets you open that document from 2003. And touching it is almost always worse than leaving it alone. So your tech is frozen by standards. It's abandoned for the shiny next big thing, and changing it would break everything that's built on top of it. But there's one more reason why your tech sucks. And this one, it's you. Look at this keyboard. This layout was designed in the 1870s by a guy named Christopher Latham-Scholes, and its purpose? To slow you down. The original alphabetic layout caused typewriter keys to jam when you type too fast, so Scholes separated commonly used letter pairs to prevent the mechanism from clashing. QWERTY keyboards weren't designed for efficiency. They were designed to fix a mechanical problem that hasn't existed for 100 years. So why are we not using the better alternative? Well, in 1932, a professor named August Dvorak designed a new layout. 70% of keystrokes on the home row instead of 32, claimed to reduce finger travel from 12 miles per day to 1 mile. But here's the thing, even if Dvorak was twice as fast for typing, would you switch? Think about it, you spent years, maybe decades, learning QWERTY. Your fingers know it. Switching means throwing all of that away, and that feeling of throwing something away, it hurts more than the gain of a slightly faster keyboard. This is the psychological principle of loss aversion. Your brain would rather keep the mediocre thing that it has than risk losing the investment it made. The better keyboard lost, not because it wasn't better, but because we already invested too much in learning the old one. And we don't just passively use broken tech, we actually fight to keep it. In 2018, Snapchat launched a major redesign. They separated social content from the media content, and they make stories into the chat page, try to make things better. And within days, a change.org petition appeared, and that got 1.2 million signatures in a week, all asking Snapchat to roll back the redesign. The stock dropped 7.2%, $1.3 billion in market value in a day. And Snapchat's official response? You completely understand that the new Snapchat has felt uncomfortable for many. Uncomfortable, that's the key word. It's not that the redesign was wrong, it's that change itself feels wrong, even when the new thing is objectively better. And this creates a vicious cycle that makes your broken tech stay broken. We complain about things that don't work all the time, but most people also reject every attempt at introducing something new. We're not victims of some evil tech company, we're participants. And this is just how we are as humans. We adapt, we build workarounds, we make it ours, and then we defend what we built, even if something better comes along. But you know what else is weird? All these tech that we just talked about, it used to be very noisy. It used to make sounds. Error sounds, startup sounds, sound that told you what was happening, and then one day, they all disappeared. There's a very specific reason why, and you can learn all about it in this video right here. I'm Enrico, and I'll see you in the next one.